Hey, what's up, everyone? This is me, Dre. Now, I was just skimming through CNN.com. We have information as far as the San Bernardino shooting. We also have the ex-Oklahoma officer who was just recently convicted for 13, 19 counts of rape. And I'll probably do a story on that later. But with the San Bernardino shooting, one of the things that I found interesting when I'm looking at CNN.com, this one article says, "What explains the biggest U.S. terror attack since 9/11?" Okay, I understand you have two Muslims that perpetrated this mass shooting. No different than any other mass shooting, with the differences they're Muslim. They're trying to say that because they are Muslim, they've been radicalized, which I think is bullshit. You have the media trying to steer the American public to have a certain perception of Muslims. How can this be explained as a terror attack when it's simply a mass shooting? And if you're going to classify this as a terror attack, then let's take a look at more severe instances, because 14 people lost their lives in San Bernardino, and it's tragic. Absolutely no doubt about that. It's tragic because a loss of life, you have family members that are grieving, and that should never be the case. These two were selfish. What was the motivation? No one knows. But you have the media trying to say that there's information indicating that the wife, Tashfeen Malik, she pledged allegiance to ISIS and one of the leaders, but there's no information. The news and the media, they've always been forthcoming. There's always going to be some shadow company, so to say, on the side that's putting out information, because they said that on her Facebook page. It was an alternate Facebook page, but she pledged allegiance. Where's this information at? They're trying to say that, but I think it's steering the American public so that their perception of Muslims is that all Muslims are bad, Islam is bad, and all Muslims are terrorists, which is not the case. I think it's total bullshit, and I think it's racist. Now, for them to say the biggest terrorist attack, let's take a look at Jerry Lee Loughner, the shooter from Tucson, Arizona, that went after that politician, and he killed 19 people. Now, we're talking about the couple that did the shooting in San Bernardino, but then you have Jerry Lee Loughner, who was charged on 19 counts of murder with his mass shooting. You have Seung-hui, the Virginia Tech shooter. He killed 32 people. And then you have James Holmes, and this is just to name a few. I mean, there's been a lot of mass shootings since 9/11, but you have James Holmes, who killed 24 people. So you have two white people and one Korean, but they're not calling that an act of terrorism. And an act of terrorism is spreading fear to a mass of people. And these shootings did just that. But because James Holmes and Jerry Lee Loughner were white, and Seung-hui was Korean, not Muslim, they're basically saying that there's some mental instability. They're always giving a pass and steering the public, as I keep saying. This is total bullshit. I can understand if they put the proof right in front of us so that we can see exactly what they're alleging. Okay, if they're trying to say that Malik pledged her allegiance to ISIS, I want to see proof. And for me, I've got to see that, because I'm not so quick to just believe what I read. Again, we're talking about two selfish motherfuckers that committed this act and took 14 lives. Okay, I don't co-sign to that. I don't co-sign to that at all. I don't believe in violence against anyone for any reason. Mass shooters, I think, are cowardly motherfuckers. But when you look at it, the racism behind this and the way that the American public is we're like cattle. We're just told to go in one direction from the media, and it just so happens that a lot of us are doing that. Not to mention the fear-mongering and the hate behind a lot of the speeches that Donald Trump is coming up with. We're talking about someone that's trying to run for presidency, and at the same time, he's calling for a witch hunt on all Muslims. Muslims that live here in the United States American nationals that are Muslim, but you also have Muslims outside the country. To say radicalized for Muslims, but not say the same thing about Christians is wrong, because they're trying to say, okay, well, he's Christians, or you call that extremist. But when a white person, a white Christian, goes and shoots up someplace, they're not considered terrorists. They're considered sick in the head. But all of a sudden, with the race baiting and the racism, if they have a name, last name of Malik, Mahmoud, Muhammad, Farouk, all of a sudden, they're Muslims, they're terrorists. That's the problem that I'm having. But I want to see proof that there is this Facebook page. There's nothing on the internet. And by now, you think someone would have leaked that information. But there's nothing. It's like I said, back when Mike Brown was killed by Darren Wilson, and they said that during the attack, Michael Brown fractured Darren Wilson's orbital. There were no pictures. There were no pictures of gunshots in the vehicle. There were no pictures, medical pictures released of Darren Wilson until he had his deposition about 2 or 3 months later, and all it looked like is he got slapped in the face. There was no bruising, no black eyes, nothing. So to say that there's been some pledge to ISIS and it was on Facebook, show me, and maybe my opinion will be different. But I'm not going to sit here and say that all Muslims are terrorists simply because of the acts of a few. If that's the case, then the acts for the KKK in the name of Christianity, what they did to Emmett Till, killing a black person because they said that he flirted with a white man's woman, but they killed him to punish him in the name of God. You can look online at any picture where the KKK is masked, or just white people masked around a hanging black body, or they're burnt on a stake, a black person burnt on a stake, and there's a group of white people around. There have been times where at churches and old signs from white churches where they're selling tickets for an upcoming lynching of a black person, Christians. But no one's calling them terrorists. No one's saying that they're radicalized or extremists. But all of a sudden you have Robert Deere shooting up a Planned Parenthood facility in Colorado, and he's not called a terrorist. But he spread terror to a mass group of people, killing 3. But because he's not Muslim, he gets a pass for it. He's just angry at the government. So that's the kind of shit that I can't co-sign to. Again, this country is so fucking racist, and the way the media is throwing that perception out about an ethnic group, that's what I disagree with. I have no ill will towards anyone. And even though I might make a lot of these comments in reference to white people, I have no ill will towards white people. I don't have any ill will towards anyone of any ethnicity. I try to treat people with the respect that I would hope to receive. And it's easy to say this on the internet. People come to my channel, they express their opinion. A lot of people speak from a place of privilege and ignorance, and I'm quick to try to correct them, or at least show them from a different perspective that they're not used to. Because unfortunately, there's a lack of education for a lot of us. But for me to say that because they're Muslims, they're bad, I'm not going to do that at all. Anyway, if you like this video, hope that you like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook. Peace.